Oh man, Heartstopper just gave us the most awkward dinner scene since the dinner party episode of The Office, and folks, I am here for it. What do you do when your family is awkward AF? Mended light. So I was doing a bunch of Heartstopper episodes as Therapist Reacts Raw, reacting to clips that my producers were giving me. The clips were touching me so much, and you guys were saying, watch the show, watch the show. Finally watching the show, and I want to talk about Season 2, the dinner scene where Nick and Charlie get their families together for dinner. And at this point, some of Nick's family does not know that he is bi and that he is dating Charlie. And his brother's going to be a real tool about it, because his brother's just a tool. So one, if you are LGBTQIA, how do you manage when people out you instead of respecting your space and your time and your pace to figure that out, and then how to reveal it and to whom to reveal it and when? How do you manage when people out you? And number two, if just for everybody, what do you do when your family kind of sucks? There's Charlie's family outside coming into Nick's house.
I grew up in the south of France, near Narbonne.
Ah, yeah, very near Spain. And my father's from the south of Spain, Almeria.
Oh, yeah. But your surname is so English.
Yeah, well, he always said that we had a rather complicated family tree.
Family tree story is a long story.
Yeah, it's long.
Do you visit often, Stefan?
As much as I can. My job, it keeps me very busy. I'm in property development.
You should see some of the places Dad renovates. Insane.
Work isn't everything, you know. Although the pay does help.
Dad, has Nick told you how he met Charlie?
No, he hasn't.
We got sat together in school, and then Charlie joined the rugby team.
Oh, you play rugby, Charlie.
I'm not very good.
And Nick was obsessed with getting Charlie to join. Wonder why.
Shut up, David.
What is your problem?
I played rugby when I was in university. It's a very attractive sport to women. Have neither of you boys found girlfriends?
Oh man, you are not getting it, man. Awkward.
No, I guess not.
Oh, well, there's still time.
Yeah, I'm not sure Nick's too interested in looking for girlfriends, really.
Don't you dare.
David, be respectful, please, at the table. We have guests.
Why do you always do this?
I'm just trying to help.
That is the douchiest behavior. Being cruel, being a punk, trying to provoke a reaction, trying to cause trouble, and then framing yourself as this saint, right? I was just trying to help. I was just being honest. I've known a million Davids in my life, and I've wanted to punch all of them in the face. I haven't, but I've wanted to.
Sorry, this is ridiculous. Dad. Charlie's my boyfriend. Surprise. I'm bi, he's gay, and I was actually really stressed out about how I was going to tell you. But you know what? I don't care what you think about it anymore.
Yeah.
Because you don't care to even see us more than 2 times a year. And you know, every time I do see you, I always think, this is it. This is the time when you might actually take an interest in my life, but you never do. So if you don't care, then I don't care either.
Damn, Charlie. So in one of the Reacts Raw videos to this series, I said that what teen romantic dramedies need more of is badass gays. And everyone piled on and said, Charlie's bi, actually. You're right. I didn't know because I hadn't watched the show. I've watched it now. We need more badass bis. Because Charlie's a badass. He's laying it down for his dad. And here's why that matters. He's not being cruel. He's not being mean. He's not being vindictive. He's not being vengeful. He's not being petty. He's simply saying cause and effect. For a long time, I cared about what you thought of me because I wanted a connection with you. At a certain point, I realized that wasn't going to happen. I've mourned it. I've grieved over it. I've let it go. I've moved on. And what's powerful about that is when you do that, when you let go of what you had hoped for and accept what is, it allows you to step into your power of loving and accepting yourself. Because you're not pursuing and chasing acceptance from everybody or from specific people. You just want the acceptance of the people who will see you and value you. And Charlie knows that Nick does that for him.
And I don't know why you're acting like you are 10 years old,
Yep.
but your bullying just doesn't affect me anymore because, quite simply, I do not care.
Because you
I
suck,
like
David.
who I am. I like my life.
You should.
Maybe you should stay with Dad next time. Sorry, Mum.
Just gonna let him speak to us like that.
Oh, David, be quiet. We've had quite enough from you, thank
It's
you.
Nick that's making a scene. He's always causing a fuss.
Defensive much?
Dad agrees.
Who cares what Dad thinks?
You're not grown up into the man I had hoped you would be, David.
As if you have any right to say that. You barely see your children.
I love that Nick's parents are like, well, his dad looks at him and his dad motions like, go be with Charlie, right? Nick's dad is amazing. I think that's a beautiful little nonverbal moment. I also just think it's really funny that Nick's parents are like, oh, okay, well, this is delicious. This is what I mean when I say this is the most awkward dinner party since that episode of The Office. But I like that Charlie's dad, and I say I like this in terms of writing, not in terms of real life. Charlie's dad is doing what he always does. He is dismissing, rejecting, and judgmental of his children. He just spreads that out. He doesn't look inward. His son basically just called him out on his aloof behavior and on his distant behavior, and instead of that, he just turns to David and says, you have not turned into the man that I hoped you would, David, right? He's calling David out for his bullying. That's great, except for, as his wife points out, you don't have the right to say anything. You're not involved in your kids' lives. You're not there for them. He's trying to be the hero by once again passing judgment on his son. Don't be a bully, David. This isn't about David right now, Dad. It's about Charlie saying you only see us twice a year, and you don't care about my life. And he's not stepping into accountability. Here's my biggest thing. I say that I have an accountability kink, right? I think accountability is hot. I think accountability is the sexiest thing that there is. And the issue with not taking accountability is we generally don't do it because we don't want to admit fault or wrongdoing or mistakes, because we don't want people to judge us or think less of us if we admit our mistakes. The great irony of that, of course, is that if you don't take accountability, people respect you less. If you don't take ownership, people respect you less. Have you ever met somebody who said, this was my mistake and I'm owning it and I'm sorry and here's the steps I'm going to do to make it right, or what can I do to make it right? Has that ever been the case where you didn't respect someone more when they did that versus when they pass the blame to somebody else or they minimize or justify their own behavior? Charlie's dad has some work to do, and he doesn't see it because he says work isn't everything, and yet to him it is. It's what he hangs his worth on. It's what he ties his worth to. And he could tie his worth to having healthier family relationships and doing that work. So now Charlie's going to go be out there for Nick. And I think, guys, during this video I may have got their names backwards. So if I did, I apologize. But Charlie's going to go be there for Nick. And while Nick's family is just going to keep bickering and arguing. And that's hilarious and so true to life.
Come on, I can say something anyway.
No, you can't say anything. You haven't earned that right. You haven't been a parent.
I'm not going through this.
You okay?
You go through this game because you never hear it.
I actually think I am. Didn't mean for it to happen that way, but felt good to say it.
Do you want a hug anyway?
Yeah, I'm quite sure I got the names backwards throughout this video, which Heartstopper fans, don't take it personally. I have watched the show, but sometimes I can't even keep my own kids' names straight. So anyways, I one of my favorite things in life and in shows is romantic partners hugging. Heartstopper has caught some flack by some people in the LGBTQIA community because it's a show about sexuality without any sex, right? And they're saying, what is with this like super chaste, they hug, they hold hands, they might peck, but where's my euphoria action, right? That's not the nature of the show. In fact, the power of Heartstopper, there are other shows that portray the sex side of LGBTQIA experience. What Heartstopper portrays so wonderfully is the romance and the friendship and just the humanity. In fact, I feel this way about a lot of romances in general. I love older romantic movies, not because I'm especially prude or because sexuality and nudity offends me, more because we emphasize that so much in our storytelling now that we de-emphasize tenderness and affection and respect, right? I think Bridgerton actually does a good job of threading the needle of having both. But on this show, I love that he comes out and he's like, would you still like a hug? Right? They could kiss, they could make out, they could go hook up somewhere. But the honest truth is, a lot of times from the person that you are with, your romantic partner, sometimes you just want to be held, right? And I think it's so beautiful that they do that. And just the fierce affection they have for each other as he just holds him, because he just went through something ridiculous with his family. Whether it's gay, straight, or any other relationship, we all crave connection. We all crave closeness. We all crave to be supported and seen and loved and accepted for who we are. And what's beautiful about Nick and Charlie to me is that they provide that for each other. Nick's family doesn't, especially his dad and his brother. The women actually do a pretty good job, right? The women do a pretty good job of loving and accepting him. Maybe a few bumps along the way, but his dad and his brother subscribe to older ideas about machismo and masculinity that I call limiting masculinity, right? That if we box it, if we put it in a box of what a man can and cannot be, we limit them to these other forms of expression. His dad would not be diminished by accepting him, by seeing him and by loving him. In fact, it would increase his capacity and his strength and his wisdom. And, you know, traditionally men value being strong and wise. Okay, be strong enough to admit when you were wrong. Be wise enough to see that the love that your son has for his boyfriend is just love, right? And then David outs Nick. And Nick, this is not the time or place he was going to choose to do it, but he's like, screw it, here we go. And it's hard. And he says to Charlie, I'm still glad I got it out there. I'm glad I said it, but it's still hard that that choice was taken from me, right? And that's why Charlie says, would you like a hug anyways? How do you handle that? This is so outside of my own experience. If you're watching your LGBTQIA, have you had the experience of somebody outing you? What was that like for you emotionally, and how did you handle it in the moment? Are you happy with how you handled it, or do you look back and wish you could do a do-over, and what would your do-over look like? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this Heartstopper video, we've got a whole series for you. Check it out right here. Here's one of them. If you are looking to guide yourself to a place of mental health and emotional wellness, we've got a membership site for you where we create online video courses, audio podcasts, live Q&As. There's new content every week rolling out on that Alicia and I have put together for you. And you can do a trial right now for just $1. Click the link below and check it out. So until next time, folks, keep shining because we need your light.